Hello, and welcome back to another movie review. As always, I'm Kelly, and I just got out of Ad Astra. You have to say it like that because this is how you do an artiste's movie. Bad jokes aside, this movie is really enjoyable. It's not really a space epic or opera or anything super grand. It's one guy searching for his father. Yes, the fate of the world is hanging in the balance, but it's really just window dressing just to get Brad Pitt on this journey to find his father. And then a movie happens. I'd like to say that this is the thinking man's space film, but it feels like it also curbs from a lot of space films that we've seen recently. The one man surviving on his own out in space, like Martian. The big, grand, mystery of the universe from Interstellar back there. As well as the modernization that Interstellar gave us. Though this one definitely plays more into what it would actually look like in real life if we could actively travel between the Earth, Moon, and Mars on a regular basis. That being that it's commercialized and there's a subway at the Moon Port, which is like an airport, but better because it has rockets. Yeah, to say this movie is actually really clever, especially with how it integrates its product placement that has to be there, is an understatement. This is a very, very intelligent movie that will genuinely get the nerder sides of your brains thinking. But if I have to be serious here, I have to say that, again, this curbs a lot from things I've seen recently, as well as it does detour a lot. I can't say this movie is perfect. It has a lot of good things going for it, and if you're just looking for a space adventure, you won't be disappointed. For those who want to stay for some more spoilers, let's get into the specific goods that I think that this did, and then we'll talk about some of those negatives. Coming right out of the gate swinging with the good in this movie, the acting is on point from pretty much everyone, which is a given with a movie like this, but at the same time, it's kind of surprising because this is essentially a one-man show with a few extras. Yeah, other than Brad Pitt, pretty much everyone else in this movie is a bit part. And when I say a bit part, I really mean that. I mean, there's some of the extras in this movie get more lines than Tommy Lee Jones or Donald Sutherland. It's really just about Brad Pitt. Everything is about this guy, this emotionally closed-off person who acts very similar to Ryan Gosling inside of First Man. Again, this curbs a lot from current films, but Brad Pitt does bring his own air to this. This emotionally closed-off man has to find his father in order to stop these deadly surges that are somehow spawning from Neptune. Everyone else is just kind of there. It's all about Brad Pitt and his reactions to everything that you're seeing along the way. It doesn't have any kind of duo or, people playing off of each other. It's all about Brad Pitt's reactions. And he carries this movie. He proves just why he's one of the best actors alive. And that's not to say that anybody else in the movie is bad either. Everyone is actually on point. Donald Sutherland, I think this is the best he's been for a while, honestly. Donald Sutherland has kind of gotten a rap of playing that old man, twirly mustache bad guy lately. But here it genuinely feels like he's going out of his box and trying to give his A-game performance for a role that he's only in 20 minutes of this movie, if that, maybe only 15. Same goes with Tommy Lee Jones. I mean, you genuinely believe that this man is riding that line of sanity when you finally see him. In the couple of flashback sequences, you really get a sense of what kind of a, well, I guess the word would be astronaut he really is. He cares about the mission. He's always on point about the mission. And that is pretty much to the detriment of a few people's lives, but that's spoilers for later. And again, all of their bit parts, they're small. Nobody lasts in this movie for more than maybe 15 minutes other than Brad Pitt. So they could have phoned it in if they really wanted to, collect a paycheck, but they didn't. They brought their A-game and gave life to bit parts and played off of Brad Pitt in the few scenes they had with him very well. Also on the good train are the effects, because this movie looks fucking beautiful. It is so well imagined. This really does look like what our world today would look like if we discovered space travel, say, within the next year. And by space travel, I mean actual space travel, the ability to basically take a flight from the Earth to the moon on a regular basis, as much as we do flights from, Vegas to Los Angeles. It's not quite that fast. Again, it plays the space travel as very realistic as possible. You can get to the moon fairly quickly inside of this movie, but it is done pretty routinely also. But not too quickly. It really does feel like there is actual space travel required here. It's just that it's much more commercialized. As I said, they have a moon port where they land these rockets, and it looks like an airport just inside of a deep bunker where they have to pump in air. It's very, very realistic. And every time one of these rockets takes off or lands, it's just epic. It genuinely makes you feel like we could get there someday. We can do this. God, I sound like Thomas the Tank Engine here. Surprisingly, this movie is very action-packed and a lot of gripping, tense moments. There's a great moment when Brad Pitt and Donald Sutherland are just going from one port on the moon to another, and they have to cross space where pirates live. And yeah, they get jumped. You see part of this in the trailer. But this action gunfight car chase actually takes advantage of the fact that it is on the moon and gives realistic physics to everything. At one point, Brad Pitt gets thrown off a cliff, and he just kind of slowly spins until he hits the ground, and his rover is pretty much fine. Again, pretty realistically because of how gravity would be working on the moon. And the one last thing on the good side that I will say about this movie is the ending message. I won't spoil what it is, but it basically takes the most nihilistic viewpoint you could have about society, space, and everything, and turns it on its head into something so positive that I swear it came straight out of The Martian. It really did feel like when Brad Pitt says that final line, the world kind of united there. And you see the real growth of his character after it. At the beginning, he was a man in control but had a lot of problems. He was very emotionally cut off, and though he was able to control pretty much everything about himself, there are times when you just see this shell crack and you see the person underneath, But by the end of the movie, after this revelation of message and everything, it genuinely feels like this man is not just in control anymore. He's genuinely happy. He's open. He's not emotionally cut off. And they pretty much did that by simply making Brad Pitt smile at the end. Over the course of this whole movie, at most we'd probably get a smirk out of him. Maybe a, smile because the superior's there, hold that face so they don't feel too awkward. But nothing genuine. And at the end, when he genuinely smiles, it's uplifting. It really feels like, we had a crisis of faith and now we're better. But that isn't to say there aren't some stupid moments, and now we have to get into the bad. And let's start off with, this movie's a bit of a slog. I was genuinely shocked when I looked this up online and it said it was only 2 hours long, because it feels longer than that. Much like Interstellar over there, it does feel like there's certain sequences that can be cut. Again, we're going on a journey with Brad Pitt's character, but it feels like he takes one too many detours here and there. The space pirate stuff, surprisingly, is fine and fits in. But when they have to respond to a distress call between the Earth, between the Moon and Mars, that's when it kind of gets a little suspicious, because then it's just an excuse to have wild, ravenous baboons that murder people. Okay. Also, there is one really stupid moment about the beginning of the third act where Brad Pitt sneaks onto the rocket that is taking off, in the process of taking off to go to Neptune to get to. So Brad Pitt sneaks on board. They're in the middle of their launch. They're literally taking off at the moment. They're entering the atmosphere. Everyone starts freaking out on the ship. The higher-ups are telling, get him off or kill him. He is a danger to your mission. Brad Pitt's making no threatening moves, saying, no, I'm not. I just need to go on this mission with you. I am here to help. I am not a threat. I swear to you. 2 of the 3 crew members get out of their seats in the middle of this launch and start pulling guns inside the middle of the ship and start going at him. And they start getting in wrestling matches, trying to find a clear shot to shoot him. Eventually a stray shot goes off and it hits barrel of something which starts spraying gas everywhere, and suddenly all of the people start suffocating inside of this ship, except for Brad Pitt, who's in an EVA suit because he needed that to get onto the ship in general. And the rest of the crew dies. That was really stupid. Bearing the dubious logic of, the entire situation of, hey, we have a stowaway, shoot him, instead of, seal him in the back room that he's already standing in and figure out what to do with him after you've stabilized your ship. Because, again, you are in the middle of taking off. Space travel isn't a new thing here. Once you seal him off, you get into space, you basically eject that part of the ship, or you decompress it and let him float out into space a little while, and you can send a rescue. It's not like you're that far away from Mars, nor will it hurt your mission or your rocket at all. But barring that, why the fuck did you pull guns? Seriously, he made no threatening movement at any point, and frankly speaking, you're just going to cause more damage than you would have solved. It would have been better to do this hand to hand. He's in a big, bulky EVA suit. You're not. You have mobility over him. Use it. And it's just moments like these where you just take yourself out of the movie and you're like, oh yeah, this is a movie and it, for some reason, thinks I need action. Apparently I'm not smart. Which is my biggest complaint. It really feels like there's just moments like this that just pull you out of the movie for what is essentially a pretty gripping tale about a guy trying to overcome his own depression involving space and possible aliens. But overall, do I think this movie is bad? No. This movie is great. In fact, I'm pretty sure I'm going to have it on a contender for Best Film of the Year. I don't know if it'll make my list, but it's definitely in the running. That's all I'm saying. It has good acting, it has good effects, it has surprisingly good action, it has some really stupid moments inside of it, but overall, I feel you can ignore those for what is essentially a grand film as this. So my personal final verdict on this one is going to be, this is a must-see. This is one that you should not ignore. This is an epic, not quite like any other. I even hesitate to use the word epic in that sense because really it's a very simple story just told on a grand scale. And if Brad Pitt doesn't get an Oscar nomination for this one, there is something clearly wrong with the system. And that's it for me. Did you enjoy the video? Have you seen Ad Astra? Tell me what you thought about it in the comments down below. Let's get some healthy discussion going. And if you like this, want to see more, or support the show, be sure to like, share, subscribe, all that jazz. Everything that helps my channel grow so I can do these more on a regular basis and hopefully one day maybe make money doing it. I don't know. I could settle for Rotten Tomatoes certification saying, yep, he's totally a certified reviewer. That'd be some good gratification. And yeah, that's all from me, so I guess I'll see you all next time.